faithfully sharing value, exploring the world's best books. Hello, this is Sally talking books. Today we're diving into the book Why Elites Use Their Brains Without Tiring. Oh, some workplace elites seem to never get exhausted, always full of energy and super efficient. Are they just naturally gifted, or do they have secret tricks? This book explains how to keep your energy levels high, like elites, all from a neuroscience angle. The author, Waze Ziwan, is a renowned Japanese neurologist. He graduated from Sapporo Medical University and studied for 3 years at the University of Illinois in Chicago. After returning home, he founded the Huaze Psychology Research Institute. Wow, he shares neuroscience and psychology knowledge on Twitter and YouTube with over 400,000 followers and video views topping 4 million. He's also an author who's written multiple best-selling books on neuroscience. He believes many past books on boosting work efficiency just cover mindset techniques or motivational pep talks. But many find that these books don't help much in real life. Faced with piles of work, people often want to escape and forget all the tips they've learned. Inspirational books can give you a temporary energy boost, but it doesn't last long before you're back to your old self. To truly improve productivity, we first got to understand how the brain works. The book has 7 chapters and 100,000 words. Oh, Huaze Ziwan details why neurotransmitters are crucial for the brain. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that pass messages between brain cells. Changes in their levels affect emotions and actions. For focused, efficient work, keep them balanced. Now we know it's apparented. There are over 50 known neurotransmitters. He focuses on 7 key ones in the book. He uses real-life examples and Japanese anime characters to show how neurotransmitters impact the brain and gives practical tips for improvement. He sees elites not as born special, but as folks who know how to unlock the brain's potential. Using the book's methods, anyone can energize their brain and work as efficiently as elites. Since its publication in 2016, this book has consistently topped Japan's self-help charts and made it to the annual business book list. Now, let me walk you through each of these 7 neurotransmitters. The first neurotransmitter is dopamine. Oh, dopamine fuels motivation and brings feelings of happiness. When setting goals or making plans, our brain releases dopamine, making us feel driven and eager to take action. And when we achieve those long-awaited goals, dopamine acts as a reward, giving us satisfaction and joy. With dopamine's encouragement, we keep pursuing higher goals and new achievements. Asuka, from the famous Japanese anime Neon Genesis Evangelion, perfectly represents someone with high dopamine activity. She's always energetic, action-oriented, and maintains fighting spirit through all challenges. Beyond motivation and happiness, dopamine also boosts efficiency in the hippocampus and frontal lobe. These areas control memory and learning, so higher dopamine means better real-world performance. So, how can we boost dopamine production? The author offers 4 key strategies. First, set the right goals. If goals are too easy, they become boring from lack of challenge. If too difficult, they kill motivation. Neither sparks dopamine. Ideal goals balance challenge and achievability. Also, the goal's time frame matters significantly. A 10-year goal feels distant, failing to spark immediate drive or dopamine release. Break long-term goals into short-term milestones, visible results within weeks or months. Say your big goal is financial freedom. Start with taking finance courses, then try fund investments. Each small win releases dopamine. That motivation and joy pushes us toward the ultimate goal. The author also recommends vividly visualizing your success, down to the smallest detail. The author once planned to write a book explaining neurotransmitters. When setting this goal, he didn't just imagine the title and outline. He pictured it hitting #1 on Amazon's bestseller list. Our brains often treat vivid imagination as reality, so visualizing success actually triggers dopamine release, boosting our motivation to act. The second dopamine boosting tip: reward yourself immediately after reaching goals. This applies whether you've hit short-term milestones or major long-term targets. When achievement satisfaction combines with reward joy, it floods your brain with dopamine, fueling hunger for the next challenge. Rewards could be gifts or fancy dinners. Beyond material rewards, he encourages self-recognition and praise. After completing something, tell yourself, "I'm amazing! There's nothing I can't handle!" This mental reward also elevates dopamine levels. Crucially, plan rewards before starting, not after. The anticipation itself becomes motivation. Third dopamine strategy, exercise. Research shows physical activity boosts dopamine production. Dopamine levels rise noticeably for hours post-workout, longer with more intense sessions. The author exercises daily between 4 to 6 p.m. before returning to writing. Though physically tired afterward, his mind stays sharp, thanks to dopamine's effects. Fourth strategy, balanced nutrition. Dopamine synthesis requires tyrosine, an amino acid. Low tyrosine means low dopamine. Tyrosine-rich foods include bamboo shoots, meat, milk, almonds. But note, doubling tyrosine intake doesn't double dopamine. Your brain has production limits. To turn tyrosine into dopamine, we also need vitamin B6's help. Foods rich in vitamin B6 include banana, milk, fried fish, tuna, and so on. So to ensure dopamine secretes normally, we need a balanced diet. No picky eating. Now that we've covered dopamine, let's discuss the second neurotransmitter, endorphins. The brain secretes endorphins heavily in two situations. First, when facing intense pain, the brain releases endorphins to ease the suffering. Morphine is a strong painkiller often used in medicine for late-stage cancer pain, and endorphins have 6.5 times morphine's pain-relieving effect. Under endorphins' influence, even with severe injuries like fractures, people can endure pain. Endorphins also bring intense happiness, making one temporarily forget the agony. A classic example is marathon running. Marathon is an extremely challenging sport. Runners hit a point where they feel breathless, legs weak, thinking they can't continue. If they push through and break past a threshold, many enter a runner's high, feeling light and free. The pain vanishes, and they run happier, wishing it could last forever. Many who experience runner's high get addicted to running. Some scientists tested athletes' blood after running and found endorphin levels significantly higher. Scientists believe the brain releases endorphins to reduce pain during long runs, creating the runner's high experience. The second situation for endorphin secretion is when people are calm and relaxed, like listening to favorite music, playing with pets, or practicing meditation. In these cases, the brain secretes more endorphins, making us feel happy and peaceful. Besides making us happy, endorphins also boost memory, focus, and creativity. When endorphins are secreted heavily, we're either going through intense pain or intense pleasure. For both situations, the brain wants to remember them, to avoid, or seek more. Thus, endorphins strengthen connections between brain cells and information transfer, enhancing current memory and focus. Dame knew Ray. With brain cells communicating more closely, inspiration flows easier, boosting work efficiency. So, how can we quickly boost endorphin levels? The author outlines 4 main ways. First, exercise, especially moderate to high intensity. You don't need marathons. Any activity that feels challenging and requires pushing through can trigger endorphin release. Research shows just 15 minutes of intense cardio like cycling spikes blood endorphin levels. Since exercise also boosts dopamine, these combined neurotransmitters significantly enhance post-workout productivity. Second method, eat spicy foods. Spiciness is unique. Sweet, sour, bitter, salty come from taste bud interactions. But spiciness? That's capsaicin activating pain receptors. Neuroscientifically, spice and pain feel similar, so eating spicy food triggers endorphin release to ease the pain. Beyond spicy foods, chocolate and fatty foods also boost endorphins, but scientists aren't yet sure why. Third method, hot baths. Heat stimulates skin pain receptors, prompting endorphin release. That refreshed, clear-headed feeling after bathing, all thanks to endorphins. Fourth way, thank failure. Work brings setbacks. Some get trapped in negativity. When failing, first thank it for teaching you something valuable.
Believe that failure mothers success. It helps you respond better next time.
Approaching failure with gratitude creates calm relaxation, triggering endorphins that sharpen focus. So you'll remember lessons clearly, boosting success chances next round. Now that we've covered endorphins, let's discuss the third neurotransmitter, norepinephrine. When we feel nervous or fearful facing pressure and challenges, our brain secretes norepinephrine. Norepinephrine activates the sympathetic nervous system, which handles external threats. When activated, our minds become clearer, focus and memory improve significantly. Oh, it also speeds up heart rate and raises blood pressure, giving muscles energy for fight or flight. Appropriate stress boosts norepinephrine, enhancing work efficiency. Two common stress sources exist. Time constraints, like students studying harder as exams near. Facing monthly sales reviews, salespeople hustle tirelessly. Clients. The other source is superiors' criticism. Bosses reprimanding underperformers makes employees work harder. But the author warns, norepinephrine's effects are short-term. Maximum sustainable high-pressure effort is 1 month. Beyond risks, health issues. Why? Norepinephrine suppresses the parasympathetic system, which maintains bodily functions like immunity, digestion, and sleep. At night, the parasympathetic system repairs daytime strained organs. These two systems oppose each other. One active means the other's suppressed. Under chronic stress with high norepinephrine, even nights keep the sympathetic system dominant. This leaves body tissues constantly overloaded without rest. Long-term, problems emerge. Cardiovascular, digestive, immune systems all suffer. In Sally Talking Books, we previously featured Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. It details how chronic stress impacts body tissues. Interested listeners can revisit that episode. And in our busy modern society, many people are under chronic stress with constantly high norepinephrine levels. The author believes these individuals must consciously rest to lower norepinephrine levels. For instance, after work, avoid high stimulation activities like gaming or TV. They keep the sympathetic nervous system active. Instead, chat with family, listen to music, or do light stretching exercises. This helps reduce norepinephrine and allows both mind and body to rest. Overall, the author suggests treating norepinephrine as a short-term emergency tool for problems solvable within days or weeks. For long-term productivity improvement, we still need to rely on dopamine, as mentioned earlier. Next, the fourth neurotransmitter is closely related to norepinephrine, epinephrine. In fact, epinephrine is converted from norepinephrine. Its effects are similar, enhancing focus, judgment, reaction speed, and physical power during stressful challenges. The difference lies in norepinephrine primarily affecting the brain and nervous system, while epinephrine targets organs and muscles, making its physical enhancement more pronounced. That's why athletes boost epinephrine for better performance. Oh. One common method is shouting loudly. In kendo matches, competitors often shout during strikes. Weightlifters and shot putters also roar when exerting force. Scientists have experimentally proven that loud shouting excites the brain and promotes epinephrine secretion. Anger also triggers heavy epinephrine release, explaining why combat athletes provoke each other pre-fight with stares, words, or gestures to stimulate secretion for better performance. Although epinephrine mainly affects organs and muscles, like norepinephrine, it activates the sympathetic nervous system while suppressing the parasympathetic system. Thus, we must also prioritize rest, avoiding sustained high epinephrine levels. All right, so we've covered the stress-related neurotransmitters. Now, let's dive into the fifth neurotransmitter, serotonin. Oh, serotonin keeps emotions stable, making you calm, collected, and thinking clearly. Take Rei Ayanami from Neon Genesis Evangelion. She's always super calm, rarely talks. Even in battle facing life threats, she stays totally composed. The author sees her personality as a textbook example of having plenty of serotonin. When serotonin levels are low, mood swings get worse, making people anxious and prone to negative feelings. And if this keeps up, it can lead to depression, OCD, and other mental health issues. Many antidepressants work by boosting serotonin. Oh, it also affects appetite and sleep. Low levels can cause binge eating, anorexia, or sleep problems.
To boost serotonin secretion better, there are two main methods.
First method, soak up sunlight. The brain starts secreting serotonin when hit by sunlight, mainly in the morning. Levels drop by afternoon, so the author suggests fully enjoying that morning sun. If light pollution isn't bad near home, he also recommends sleeping with curtains open. Oh, as morning light comes in, serotonin rises and tells your brain to wake up naturally. But research shows the 2 to 3 hours after natural waking are when the brain's most active and creative. For office workers, use this early time to plan the day or tackle tough problems, setting up for efficient work. But if curtains are closed, no morning light means not enough serotonin. Even with an alarm, your brain stays sleepy, making it hard to get up and focus, ruining your workday. Second method, rhythmic exercise like walking, jogging, or swimming. This isn't just sports. Deep breathing, reading aloud, or chewing food slowly also count as rhythmic moves that boost serotonin. 88. Since serotonin is mainly secreted in the morning, many people feel sluggish and inefficient by afternoon. The author recommends walking to a nearby restaurant for lunch and consciously chewing slowly. Both walking and chewing are rhythmic movements, plus you get sunlight while walking. This replenishes serotonin for afternoon productivity. Earlier, we saw norepinephrine and epinephrine activate the sympathetic nervous system while suppressing the parasympathetic. Now, the sixth neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, does the opposite, suppressing sympathetic activity while activating parasympathetic. When acetylcholine secretion is high, we get quality sleep for full physical and mental restoration.
Acetylcholine also helps the brain organize memories and boosts creativity.
Our daily experiences are first stored in the brain's hippocampus. During sleep, memories transfer to the cortex for sorting and long-term storage. Acetylcholine levels surge during sleep, making memory connections easier. This strengthens memory retention and reveals connections between different concepts. Many scientists gained breakthrough inspiration during sleep. Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev discovered elemental patterns in a dream, creating the periodic table. German chemist August Kekulé dreamt of a snake biting its tail, realizing benzene's ring structure. These seemingly magical experiences stem from acetylcholine, sparking imagination and creativity. That's why the author recommends office workers nap during lunch, waking with refreshed brain function and higher productivity. Acetylcholine surges not just during sleep, but also during relaxed mental states. Acetylcholine. If you're stuck on a problem, try setting it aside temporarily. Relaxing at a bar, taking a soothing bath, or wandering aimlessly might spark the solution. To ensure our brains produce enough acetylcholine, we also need proper nutrition. The raw material for acetylcholine is lecithin, found in foods like egg tofu, nuts, and animal liver. Additionally, the author warns that smoking reduces acetylcholine secretion. When smoking, nicotine binds to nicotinic receptors on cells, mimicking acetylcholine's chemical reaction. But this reaction doesn't produce acetylcholine's benefits. It tricks the brain into thinking acetylcholine is sufficient, reducing actual production. Over time, acetylcholine deficiency becomes the brain's default state. Now that we've covered acetylcholine, let's discuss the book's final neurotransmitter. Melatonin, unlike acetylcholine, is more directly tied to sleep. Many call it the sleep hormone. When light dims sufficiently, the brain secretes it. Melatonin slows heart rate, lowers body temperature and blood pressure, switching all tissues to rest mode. Adequate melatonin helps you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and reduces nighttime awakenings. Sleep quality directly impacts daytime productivity. Sleep deprivation drastically reduces attention, memory, and thinking abilities. One experiment showed that sleeping under 5 hours daily for 5 days causes sharp cognitive decline. This is comparable to staying awake for 48 hours straight. Recent research reveals melatonin also has anti-aging and anti-cancer properties. During metabolism, cells produce reactive oxygen species, which accelerate aging and cause arteriosclerosis when accumulated. While medical articles often recommend vitamin E for antioxidants, melatonin's antioxidant capacity is twice as potent. Moreover, melatonin inhibits cancer cell growth and repairs damaged DNA, helping prevent cancerous changes. So, how can we boost melatonin secretion? The author offers 3 key suggestions. First, avoid computers and phones before bed. Many unwind after work with screens. Moderation is fine, but if you indulge for too long, playing for hours, it'll mess with your sleep. When we're on computers or phones, our sympathetic nervous system stays active, suppressing the parasympathetic one. This messes up melatonin secretion, making us too hyped to sleep. Watch. The second tip to boost melatonin is to chill in a dim room before bed. Your brain decides to secrete melatonin based on outside light levels. If you hang out in a bright room at night, your brain thinks it's still daytime and holds back melatonin. So, 1 or 2 hours before sleep, turn off the main bedroom lights, switch on the bedside lamp, listen to tunes, read a book. After a while, melatonin levels rise naturally, making you drowsy. But be careful. Don't use white fluorescent bulbs for bedside lamps. White fluorescent lights mimic sunlight's color temp, still fooling your brain into thinking it's daytime. The author recommends swapping them for yellow incandescent bulbs or warm LEDs to help melatonin flow. The third tip is to boost serotonin levels during the day. As we said, serotonin affects sleep because it's the raw material for making melatonin. Serotonin peaks in the morning. By evening, it starts turning into melatonin.
To have enough melatonin at night, you got to have plenty of serotonin during the day.
We can up serotonin with sunlight and rhythmic exercise, like we talked about before. Now, lots of folks take melatonin supplements to help with sleep, but the author warns there's no solid proof yet that supplements work as well as your brain's own melatonin. The FDA hasn't backed the effectiveness of melatonin supplements either. The author thinks melatonin needs other body chemicals to do its job right. If you don't build healthy habits to improve your overall health, just popping melatonin won't do much. So why don't elites get tired from using their brains this way? This book has pretty much covered it all. The author believes that in modern life, work stress, wonky schedules, and bad eating habits mess up neurotransmitter balance. Long term, this saps your energy and drive, but building healthy habits keeps things balanced and your brain full of pep.
Ultimately, let's achieve our ideal state of work and life.
All right, why don't elites get tired from using their brains this way? That wraps up our interpretation of this book. Oh, reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.